Okay, first lesson of the review, lesson 51. The review for today covers the following ideas. 1. Nothing I see means anything. The reason this is so is that I see nothing, and nothing has no meaning. It is necessary that I recognize this, that I may learn to see. What I think I see now is taking the place of vision. I must let it go by realizing it has no meaning, so that vision may take its place. So hopefully by now this isn't that confusing, but seeing nothing and nothing has no meaning, it's just really about trying to let go of the grasp you have on what you believe you see in front of you. Don't get so wrapped up in the literal, but realize that in order for you to change your perception, you have to open your mind and let go of some of the beliefs that you have. Well, really, eventually all of the beliefs that you have about what is true or what is out there in front of you. So let this lesson permeate your mind and let your higher self bring further understanding. Number 2, I have given what I see all the meaning it has for me. I have judged everything I look upon, and it is this and only this I see. This is not vision. It is merely an illusion of reality because my judgments have been made quite apart from reality. I am willing to recognize the lack of validity in my judgments because I want to see. My judgments have hurt me, and I do not want to see according to them. This was so big. Judgment is the root of fear, of unforgiveness, of worry, of anger. Oftentimes, if you watch television shows, it drives me nuts how often the conflict being created is simply because the characters are not saying everything and they're jumping to conclusions and making all these assumptions about what's really happening. And I guess that's where the comedy lies, but for me, it's just annoying. I'm like, none of this would be funny if they just said what they meant and meant what they said. So letting go of judgment is not easy, and there's a reason this course has 365 lessons, because it takes time for us to undo the way of thinking that we have within. So we are judging. We are constantly judging, but we don't have to. And when we let go of judging others, we find freedom. Okay. Number 3, I do not understand anything I see. How could I understand what I see when I have judged it amiss? What I see is the projection of my own errors of thought. I do not understand what I see because it is not understandable. There is no sense in trying to understand it, but there is every reason to let it go and make room for what can be seen and understood and loved. I can exchange what I see now for this merely by being willing to do so. Is not this a better choice than the one I made before? So this is great because the course continually emphasizes and reminds us that you just need to be willing. If you are willing, you will see results. Now, the reason you don't understand is because it is literally impossible for you to understand everything that came into creating a person and making them behave as they do. You'd have to go back generations to understand where it all came from. And it's just impossible. So there's no point in trying to understand it. Instead, just go and let it go and choose to seek to figure out what is the most loving way to respond. And that's all you have to do in life. So I do not understand what I see because it's not understandable. There's no sense in trying to understand it. I can't tell you how much time I've wasted in my life thinking about what someone said and why did they say that and trying to understand what had happened, when it's like, you know what? Learn what you can from it, and anything beyond that, let it go, and you will have a more peaceful existence. Okay, number 4. These thoughts do not mean anything. The thoughts of which I am aware do not mean anything because I am trying to think without God. What I call my thoughts are not my real thoughts. My real thoughts are the thoughts I think with God. I am not aware of them because I have made my thoughts to take their place. I am willing to recognize that my thoughts do not mean anything and to let them go. I choose to have them be replaced by what they were intended to replace. My thoughts are meaningless, but all creation lies in the thoughts I think with God. So my thoughts are basically the thoughts you're thinking with the ego. Those thoughts that are fear-based, that are worried, that are unforgiveness, that are judgment, all those thoughts, those are with the ego. When you're thinking with God, when you're thinking with the Holy Spirit, your higher self, those thoughts will have not a single sliver of fear or doubt or worry or judgment or unforgiveness. So if you have any of those types of thoughts, you can be sure that you're thinking with the ego. If your thoughts come from a place of pure peace, love, joy, appreciation, those are thoughts that come from God or are your higher self ways of thinking. Okay? Lesson 5, or number 5. I am never upset for the reason I think. I am never upset for the reason I think because I am constantly trying to justify my thoughts. I am constantly trying to make them true. I make all things my enemies so that my anger is justified and my attacks are warranted. I have not realized how much I have misused everything I see by assigning this role to it. I have done this to defend a thought system that has hurt me, and that I no longer want. I am willing to let it go. So this is so true. I can't tell you how many times I have been in arguments with parents or significant others or friends, and you feel like you're so right. What you're saying is so right, but then you realize what they're saying is so right too. So how could you both be right? And so you just try to cling to what you believe and what you think is fair and just, and then you justify it, and then it becomes this tailspin. And I can't say how many times I've been in arguments where we're just going in circles because I guess it's being stubborn of not wanting to realize that what they're saying has validity and what I'm saying has validity, and we can both be right and both be wrong at the same time. So you have the higher self, you have your highest teacher there to tell you and to help you, tell you what to do, and to help you think through and feel through situations. So when you feel upset, tell yourself, I'm never upset for the reason I think. And then if you can get quiet for a moment, see if you can get some direction to help you respond from a place of peaceful understanding and love. Okay, so lesson 51, you've got 5 different lessons to review and ponder. You have all day to do it, and if you don't feel like you had enough time today, do it again tomorrow. You do not have to go to the next lesson tomorrow. You can take each lesson as many days as you need, okay? So I will see you when I see you for lesson 52.